clawed hand rips out of a cocoon on a moving train. It closes around the conductor's throat before she can step back. What climbs out of that cocoon afterward is a grown woman, calm and unmarked, wearing the dead woman's uniform by the time the train reaches Los Angeles. Days earlier, she was a child. Before that, she was a girl behind glass in a government lab, and the men who built her had just decided to kill her. That glass sits in a sealed lab under the Utah desert, and gas is flooding the chamber around her now. Her name is Syl. The man who runs the project, Fitch, watches through the glass and tells her he's sorry. He's decided that killing her is the only safe choice left. Syl doesn't die. She throws herself against the glass until it shatters, runs past the guards, and is outside before anyone reacts. She jumps onto a moving train and vanishes into the dark. As it rolls, her mind keeps flashing to a monstrous shape, as if her own body is warning her what lives inside it. A homeless man comes too close, and one push from Syl kills him, and she barely reacts. She takes his clothes to cover her lab gown and watches the other passengers, learning a world she's never been allowed to see. At the next stop, she boards a different train and raids the dining car for cash and food. She eats without stopping, even biting into unpeeled fruit, while a stolen TV feeds her the world through ads and noise. Sleep is where it goes wrong. Nightmares wake her, bumps pulse under her skin, and thin tentacles push through it. Her body is rebuilding itself in hours. That's why she eats like a machine. The human shape she wears is only a stage. The tentacles keep coming until they wrap her whole. In a locked train bathroom, the cocoon seals over the last of the child she used to be. In Utah, Fitch's security finds the dead man from the first train and realizes Syl is loose among the public. They can't call the police without exposing classified work, so Fitch pulls together 4 people and tells them where Syl comes from. For years, humans beam messages into deep space, hoping for an answer. One day an answer comes, and it isn't a greeting. It's a strand of alien DNA and a simple instruction: combine it with human DNA. The team injects it into 100 eggs. One takes. That embryo becomes Syl, who grows into a child in months, until the nightmares and the lumps start and the project is shut down. By the time they reach the train, the conductor is dead, and Syl is gone. She got off in Los Angeles wearing the uniform. She stares at children in the street as if studying what a human is supposed to be. Then she buys clothes, checks into a motel, and takes in everything on the TV, from hair ads to the news. At the crime scene, Dan stands over the conductor's body. He's an empath and feels what Syl felt: fear and no guilt at all. Dr. Laura Baker looks at the emptied food cartons and says Syl is storing energy for a larger change. Dr. Stephen Arden examines the residue on the wall and calls it a cocoon material. Press, the manhunter, never asks what he's tracking. He asks only who's paying, then orders agents to track the conductor's stolen credit card. The trail points to Los Angeles. In a makeshift lab there, Laura proposes something that unsettles even Fitch. She wants to grow a second creature from the alien DNA alone, with no human part, so they can learn how to kill one. The procedure starts. The camera inside the containment box fails, and Laura and Press climb in to fix it. That's when the pure alien DNA wakes and grows faster than anyone planned. A bolt drops, the seal opens, and the creature forces its way out with Laura and Press still inside. Fitch refuses to open the door. Protocol says to burn the room with everyone in it. The others shove him aside, force the door, and pull Laura and Press out as the lab burns behind them. They've just learned how fast these things grow and how little stops them. At the motel desk, Syl asks the clerk where she can find a good man. He names a nightclub and asks for a card on file. She hands over the conductor's stolen card, and the moment it's used, Fitch's team has a live lead. At the club, Syl tries to connect with a man, and another woman humiliates her in front of everyone. She follows the woman into the restroom, eliminates her competition, and walks out alone a minute later. She finds a friendlier target, a regular named Robbie, who takes her home fast. But when things turn physical, Syl stops cold. She feels something wrong inside him, a fault she senses through his skin. Robbie tries to force her. When the team reaches the house, they only find his body, and in the bathroom, they find his insulin. Robbie was diabetic. Syl can detect a weakness in a man's genes, and she rejects anyone who isn't perfect breeding stock. Sil sleeps in the stolen car and wakes in Santa Monica. Crossing the street, she's hit by a driver who doesn't stop. A passerby named John rushes over, takes her to the hospital, pays for her care, and waits to be sure she lives. The doctor is alarmed by how fast Sil heals and by the bumps pulsing along her back. Sil realizes she's about to become a specimen again and slips out. In the hallway, she meets John, senses that he's healthy, and asks him to take her home. At John's house, he cooks dinner and tries to make the night feel normal. Sil has no interest in slow. She takes him out to the hot tub. Back at the hotel, the team cleans up the motel footage. They can't get a clear face, but they can tell Sil is at peak reproductive age. If she makes a male child, it could grow fast and father more. This stops being a manhunt. It becomes a question of whether humans stay the dominant species. The hospital flags Sil's blood as matching no human profile, and Robbie's abandoned car pulls the search toward Santa Monica. Using John's paperwork, the team heads for his address. Sil hears the front door open. John becomes a risk in the same second. She drops the human shape, and he never gets the chance to shout. Press and Laura reach the water to find John dead, and no sign of the woman who was in it with him. Sil is already thinking past them. She runs into the trees, takes a car and a set of clothes from a woman who stops to help her, and keeps the woman tied up and alive. Then she drives back to John's house, parks where nobody looks twice, and reads Fitch's lips through the windshield. They're going back to the club. That night, Sil dreams of herself with Press and wakes with a plan to end the chase by faking her own death. She cuts off her own thumb, knowing it'll grow back, and cuts the thumb from the captive woman as well. She fills containers with gasoline and finds a building with a high-voltage transformer. That evening, while the team watches the club, Dan steps outside for air, and Sil shows herself for a second before running. She jumps into a car where the captive woman and the gasoline wait, and the team gives chase. Sil is steering all of it. She drives straight at the transformer and throws herself clear just before the car hits. It detonates into a fireball, and the woman inside burns beyond recognition. The team finds a severed thumb in the wreck, matches it, and counts the body's fingers. They believe it's over, and they go for drinks. She cuts and dyes her hair and walks into the hotel bar as if she belongs. In the restroom, she borrows Laura's perfume. Laura goes upstairs tired, and Steven and Dan tease Press that she wants him, so Press follows her up. In the elevator, Press recognizes Laura's scent on Sil. Sil follows him to his floor, marking him as her target, only to learn he's already with Laura. She takes a maid's keys, slips into the room next door, and listens through the wall. Down at the bar, Steven strikes out and calls it a night. When he opens his door, Sil is already inside. She moves straight to him and pulls him into bed. And Steven, lonely and flattered, goes along with it. As Sil takes what she wants, the dark visions return, and Dan feels them too, as if her presence is leaking into his mind. Sil already feels the pregnancy starting. Steven feels her body change into something that isn't human, and the fear reaches him a second too late. Before he can shout, Sil silences him for good. The others reach the door as Sil drops the human disguise for the first time and shows her true form. Fast, armored, built to kill. She bursts through the wall, then through a steel door, and the team sees that no ordinary barrier will hold her. Press grabs weapons from his car, flamethrowers among them, and they follow her trail. In a maintenance tunnel, they find a dead worker and an open manhole. Sil has gone down into the sewers. The team climbs down after her. Press leads, sweeping each corner with fire, while Dan struggles because her trail keeps fading, as if she's hiding from his senses. They split up to cover more ground. Sil is waiting underwater. When Fitch is left alone, she erupts from the surface and takes him down with a single strike. For 1 second, the thing he built is fully visible, pale, armored, made only for this. Then she's gone through a crack the recent earthquake left in the wall. Out of the water, Sil reappears to Dan's senses. Dan, Laura, and Press push through the crack into a larger cavern, not knowing Sil has already given birth down here. Her son is alive in the dark, feeding itself on rats. The cavern floor is slick with oil. Dan climbs the rocks and finds the boy creature. He tries to approach it gently, and it lunges. Dan falls. Laura runs to him, slips, and drops into the oily pit below. Above them, the boy finishes changing into something closer to its mother and attacks Dan again. Dan turns the flamethrower on it, setting it alight, then loses his footing and ends up hanging from the rocks by his hands. The burning creature falls into the oil, and the fire races across the surface toward Laura. Laura claws out of the pit, soaked and coughing, as Press comes face to face with Sil. She has charged in after hearing her son's dying cries. A tentacle whips out and closes around Press's throat. He cuts it away, breaks loose, and empties his gun into her until she falls backward into the burning oil. Sil still isn't finished. She grabs Dan's legs from below and tries to drag him into the fire. Press swings up the grenade launcher and ends her with a single shot. They pull Dan up and climb out of the sewers, worn down and certain it's over. In the dark, a rat finds the piece of tentacle Press cut away and begins to feed. A new tentacle grows from the rat's body, and it turns on the rats around it. The rat in that final shot isn't a cheap sequel hook. It's the whole point. Sil was never a single creature you could corner and kill. She was information, a recipe that fell out of the sky, and a recipe doesn't die when one body does. The team wins the fight in the sewer and loses the war in the same moment, because the design always finds another host. They didn't end it. They ended round one. Director Roger Donaldson handed the lead to a newcomer in her first film role and built the creature around H.R. Giger, the artist behind Alien. Giger never came to set. His mother was dying, so he stayed in Switzerland and faxed his sketches to Los Angeles as the film was shot around them. When the studio cut the nightmare train sequence to save money, he paid for it himself, close to $100,000 of his own money. MGM spent $35 million and opened on the 7th of July, 1995. It took $17 million in a single weekend. The studio's biggest opening at the time, behind only Apollo 13. It made $113 million worldwide. Look closer, and the film is about the assumption it opens with. The scientists make Sil female because they're certain a woman will be easier to control, and everything that follows is that belief detonating in their hands. Sil turns the oldest horror setup inside out. She's the one hunting mates, judging men by their genes and discarding the flawed ones. A panel of brilliant men stays a step behind a creature doing to them what nature usually lets them do. Under the chrome and the Geiger curves, Species is body horror about control. It's about desire as biology, with no manners attached, and about experts who are sure they understand a thing they built and can't hold on to. Critics shrugged in 1995, filing it as a handsome B-movie almost good enough to be camp. It spawned 3 sequels and outlived a good many of the serious pictures that beat it that summer. If you enjoyed this recap, please like and subscribe, as it would really help the channel. Thanks for watching.